everybody. Again, welcome to the Positively Pets podcast. Again, I challenge you to say it 3 times fast. It is challenging. I'm here with my co-host, Maddie Kennedy, and today we are joined with just the most precious and special people, Anna and Tony from Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary. And we're so happy to have them there today, and we're going to talk all about seniors. And I know so many of our customers have senior pets, they care for them, and they maybe have even adopted a senior. So we're going to dive into it today. Again, this podcast sponsored by PicoPets, which is our national pet brand that we bring to you for benefit of your pets. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Maddie, take us away.
Yeah, like Jenny said, thank you both so much for joining us today. I'm so excited for this conversation because senior pets are so often overlooked, but everyone I've talked to who's adopted or fostered one says that it's one of the most rewarding experiences that they've ever had. So to start us off, I'd love to hear a little bit about each of your stories. What inspired each of you to dedicate your lives to helping senior dogs?
Well, I'll start off. I actually started as a volunteer here at Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary back in 2023 and loved coming to the sanctuary, just seeing the dogs, walking the dogs, giving them a lot of love. And actually forever fostered my first dog, Bo, and we felt deeply in love with each other, and then just kept volunteering. And then I actually joined the board of directors at the end of last year, and then it just evolved into now I'm actually the director of business and culture here at Old Friends. So it's been quite a journey here at Old Friends, starting from volunteer to now actually working here, which has been a dream come true for me.
Wow.
Awesome.
And thanks for having us. And I actually have a background in animal welfare of over 25 years, working in animal behavior at different shelters around the country. I joined the board of directors here in January, and then due to changes, ended up on the staff as director of operations. So my background is definitely more like animal behavior and sheltering oriented.
Wow, that is fantastic. Now, both of you guys, here's the number one thing I hear about people who volunteer, who are afraid to volunteer. They're afraid to go in and volunteer because they think it's going to hurt their heart if all the animals can't get help and all these things. What do you say about that part of the conversation about volunteering in a shelter where there may be a lot of seniors?
Yeah, my thought is, honestly, that's just part of life. And so being able to love them and give them care and attention and make the animals feel like they have love is more rewarding than the sad days. And as a senior sanctuary, we do have those sad days. But at the same time, we know we are providing the best quality of life for our dogs.
100%. Yeah.
I'd love to, highlight Old Friends specifically for a moment. So we have, some of your mission written down here, but for people who are watching who might not be familiar with you guys, do you want to share like a little bit more about your organization as a whole, and if there's anything else to share about your mission?
Yeah, I mean, we started in 2012 and soon after became a 501c3 nonprofit. And, as we have in front of us, our mission, it really is just taking these senior dogs and making sure they have the comfort and compassion they need for the rest of their lives, because sadly, a lot of senior dogs are overlooked at the shelters and don't get adopted, don't get loved because of health issues, mobility issues, things of that nature. So here at Old Friends, it's all about just giving these senior dogs the best final years of their lives so they can really have all the best before, sadly, they leave us.
According to
Go ahead,
the Animals Count 2025 report, senior dogs actually make up about 10% of intake across shelters in the country. So we're able to help with some of that.
Wow, 10%. And I mean, I have literally seen these cruel stories where people drop off a dog at a shelter and ask to see puppies. Is that your experience? Is that true, or is that just propaganda?
No, it can happen, definitely. I also think that as kind of a society, it's also in how we view things in general, as far as new and fancy versus something that's well used and had a longer lifespan and things like that. So I did experience that when I was working in open intake shelters and facilities, and also the wanting to get a puppy before the older dog passes so that they can have a friend. And sometimes our older dogs don't always want that younger, spunky pup running around. Sometimes they do, though. It can be surprising. So,
Right. Very good. Very good. And also, as far as culture is concerned, I think that's an interesting title, business and culture. What is the culture of the Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary that you feel is so unique that you have to capture that in a declaration like that?
Well, I just feel like with senior dogs, since they are older, they love to snuggle. They love to, rest with you. They're relaxed. They've already had such a journey that they know who they are. They just want to give that love, and it's so appreciated.
Yeah.
and we want to make sure that everything we're doing is inclusive for everyone. And so that's where that culture comes into play. And then it's a safe, welcoming space, not only for the dogs in our care, but also the people coming in and the fosters that we're working with and our volunteers and our staff.
Very nice. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yes. I also saw this on y'all's website, some great, statistics that you guys have put out there about helping senior dogs. Over 1,500 helps since 2012. That's awesome.
Yeah. We have a lot of dogs. We have quite a few who live in the sanctuary who just aren't quite candidates for foster based on their medical needs and behavior needs. But this is a better environment to manage all of those. But then we also have a lot of dogs flowing through the facility, going to foster and forever foster homes where they can live out their days.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Now, how does somebody qualify for that golden ticket? How do you network with other shelters? I know you're in Tennessee, right? So that's a southern part. I mean, what if somebody, I see transport sometimes, people go from California, Texas. How does your organization work with that?
So we are located just outside of Nashville. So if anyone's coming to Nashville, come give us a visit and you can take a tour. But we do get requests from all over the country to intake dogs. Sometimes we try to work with our local groups first because those partnerships are great and we can work together so that when we get requests for dogs that are a little bit younger and don't quite fit our program, we can help network them to other area organizations and groups. But then we do get transports and align with other groups outside of the area too. It kind of depends on the needs of the dog as well as what we have going on inside the facility to be able to adequately care for that dog and all of their needs, because we have communal housing in our area in the shelter. So it's a little bit different than the traditional shelter that's individual kennels and runs for everyone. So we want to make sure that it's a safe place for them.
Yes, I remember seeing all the pictures of the couches and different things where they just all hung out together. There was no confinement or separation. So you really do have to have that culture or that pack mentality of how well they're going to be integrated with your pack, I imagine.
And we have different rooms where we have some of the smaller dogs might be in one room, the larger dogs in another, and some of the dogs that might have some issues in their own area so that they can get the support they need.
Yeah, very cool.
Just like people, not everyone gets that, constant attention and constant bustle of having lots of other canines around. So
yeah, exactly.
We give them some separate places and we rotate dogs so they get some one-on-one time with people, as well as play groups with different dogs that they don't necessarily reside with all the time. So they're getting that continued enrichment.
Wow, that's great.
That's awesome. like I kind of mentioned earlier, I think people have a lot of big misconceptions about senior dogs. What do you think some of those misconceptions are before somebody actually adopts or fosters one?
Well, I could speak personally. Two of my fosters here from Old Friends, Bo and currently Rocky. When I got them, you think senior dogs are gonna just be sleeping all the time, but actually they do have energy. They especially you give them some of that love and some good treats, and they'll be running around. So just because you get a senior dog, just don't assume that your dog is just going to sleep all day. That's I think for me the biggest misconception.
And I think also the phrase old dogs can't learn new tricks is absolutely 100% wrong, because they can, and they do here on a regular basis. We have our staff who do training with the dogs daily to ensure that they can walk on a leash and have good manners, and surprisingly don't jump up on people, because even the seniors do that. And so that's something that's important, because I think a lot of times folks think they're seniors, there's nothing else they can learn, they're how they are, that's that. But that's not the case at all.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I've also heard a lot of people say that when they have fostered or adopted a senior dog, the bond is unique and special from the bond they've gotten with like adopting or fostering a younger dog. Is there anything you have, to speak on that portion of it?
I mean, I know from my experience, I do feel like, fostering a senior dog, again, as I was saying earlier, they kind of, have had such an experience already. They've had a journey. So when you take them home, I do feel like the bond is immediate. They just love you and are so appreciative of you giving them a forever home. And they know it, and you feel that love, and they feel it as well.
Yeah.
That's so great. Yeah, absolutely. Now, another thing that I have heard people say about senior fosters is that they're concerned about health conditions. And of course, with PicoPets, and I know you don't use our products necessarily in your shelter, but it's just the point that older dogs can be revived. And I'm sure you see that a lot when you bring in an aging dog, and perhaps just because of lack of care and lack of love, like you said, they're not properly energized. And then they get positive nutrition and they get supplementation, like with our minerals. We have tons of testimonials about people their animals getting this incredible spark from having that energy of our products. What is your experience with that, and how do you handle that in your own facility?
So we have an entire medical clinic in our facility. So the dogs get everything that they need as far as diagnostics to determine what's going on, pain management for dogs who need that, as well as supplements, and then also physical therapy activities and rehabilitation through water treadmills, laser therapy, chiropractic services. We've done acupuncture previously. So it just really depends on what the individual dog needs. But thinking of one dog in particular who's in the sanctuary right now, when she first came in, she was very underweight. She's a St. Bernard. She's very underweight, could barely get up on her own. And I just saw her a few minutes ago on the way up, and she was up and walking around, and she's still moving a little slower, but her hair's fully grown back in, and she's gaining some weight and has a good silky coat now. And so once we get her a little bit more mobile, then she'll potentially have the chance of going out to foster. But a St. Bernard is a little bit more challenging when, they need help getting up, but she's now doing that all on her own. So it's a huge improvement.
Yeah. And it's funny Anna mentions that, because I was thinking the same thing. The transformation is crazy. Like, you should have seen this dog before, and then now it's like night and day.
Yeah. She's gone through water treadmill, she gets laser therapy, and then she does physical exercises and different things.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So cool. So cool. And the level of care and devotion that you have, I mean, how do you think people can replicate that in their homes when people decide to foster even? What is the relationship with your organization if they take in a foster?
Yeah, so we actually provide medical care for life for the dog.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
part of that is they do come back to our clinic and see our vet so we can maintain that continuum of care, as well as, the costs and things like that. But we do work with outside clinics as well for emergency cases, because our vet can't be here 24/7. And then also prescription diets as well. So we provide that. If they're not on a prescription diet, which a good portion of our dogs are, then we just ask that fosters try to cover those costs, as well as provide like toys and bedding and things. But if they need specialty equipment, like Help Me Up harnesses or anything, we provide that as well.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's not just medical, but it's also the physical therapy and the grooming. So we do have a lot of things we offer here at Old Friends.
Wow, that is fantastic. I mean, that's so generous. And is that maintained through a grant? I mean, that's an incredible amount of fundraising to maintain that bill every year, right?
Yes, we have a lot of great donors and supporters throughout the world who help with that. So
wow,
we're so appreciative of our donors, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. So we are so appreciative.
Right. Fantastic. Well, people can visit your website at the Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary, learn about your donors and learn how to contribute as well. That's fantastic. Gosh. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. And we're also, our website is ofsds.org, but we're also on social media. We have very loyal, engaged followers on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And people can also come to the sanctuary. We do offer tours, and definitely could, see some of the dogs that are up for fostering.
Okay. So I'm in, Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. I'm nowhere close to you. And I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, man, maybe I would like to. And also, let me ask you this. What do you think? Is this like just too crazy? Or what do you think of seniors fostering seniors? Because I have a couple in my neighborhood and they're hesitant to get a new dog because they don't think that they have the lifespan to raise or the energy to raise a puppy. What do you think of seniors fostering seniors?
We actually have a lot of seniors who foster for us, and it can work out really well because energy levels are around the same, but then also like the ability to just spend more time with them, because a lot of our seniors are retired, of course, so they're home a little bit more. I get to spend a little more time with the dogs, and bring them to the rehab appointments, medical appointments, and things like that. So it can be a really great setup there. I will say, as far as our fosters go, they do have to be within a 100-mile radius to be able to come back to our facility. But there are plenty of shelters and rescue groups that have senior pets available for adoption. So definitely anyone who's outside of our area should reach out to their local organizations to inquire about seniors. And there are a lot of other programs now that do kind of what they call hospice fostering. So it's kind of senior dogs that maybe have some more medical conditions, that those groups will incur the medical costs, but then still want them to go to a home where they can live out their life.
Yes.
So
yeah. Just for that comfort. Yeah. Now, it seems like your place, just my experience of viewing, peeking in, is maybe less stressful than if they were in like those single caged kind of environments, but it's still stressful, right?
It's still stressful because it's still a shelter environment. And again, not every dog loves to be in a space with other dogs all the time.
Yeah.
So for some dogs, it's great. But for others, it's a little bit more stressful and not the best situation for them. And so we really focus on what those individual dogs' needs are, and make sure that we have those resources to be able to like help them transition to the right place for them, whether that's, a home without other dogs, or a home without children, or maybe it's a home with dogs but without cats. We want to make sure that we're finding the right spot for them.
Right.
Yeah. And I will just say, as far as stress is concerned in animals, our product, PicoPets Remag, is fantastic. It is a stabilized magnesium ion, and it just gets in at a cellular level. And magnesium is a natural anxiety reliever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so good to know that there's so many options for people if they do take a senior pet into their home, that they don't have to think that they're going to be anxious or anything like that, that they can actually help them, support them again through nutrition and therapy, and that they'll have a wonderful bond like you're having, Tony, with Rocky and your dog, and just, enjoy the time together.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Maddie?
Yes, supporting hydration, mineral balance, nutrition, and joint health before problems become more serious, of course, can really help pets stay comfortable and active as they age, but also supporting it as they are older is extremely beneficial as well. So like Jenny was just talking about, PicoPets, we provide science-backed supplements for dogs and cats, and they work to support those health pillars at the cellular level. And they're so easy to add right into, your dog's food or water bowl. And like Jenny mentioned earlier, so many people have left so many amazing reviews about how the products have really transformed their senior dog's life, becoming more energetic, becoming more mobile. So definitely, check us out at PicoPets.com. To go into my next question for you guys, I'm sure you've met hundreds, if not thousands, of dogs over the years. Is there any one particular senior dog whose story has really stayed with you or really spoke to you?
It's so hard not to think of my own dogs,
Right. I know that's a tough question too. Because of how many.
Yeah, I think for me, I can definitely, like I mentioned earlier, my first foster here from Old Friends, Bo, had a lot of behavioral issues. And, I was told, don't touch him, don't go near him, he'll bite you. And for some reason, there was just this bond between us. And I started coming to the shelter every week and spending some time with him. And we started bonding, and I decided to bring him home. And there were definitely challenges, but that love just could not be beat. And with the point where he actually got up on my lap and licked my face, I mean, I cried. I was like, oh, you really do. And we have this bond. Bo will always hold a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. Anna, do you have a pet from the shelter?
Trying to think, because I do have a senior dog. However, she's not from here. And she was kind of supposed to be a temporary foster for me, but she fell in love with my 5 cats, and so it was easy, and she stayed. So a little bit different, but I've also seen her come out of her shell in the amount of time that I've had her, go from this quiet little dog who didn't interact with toys to one who runs around and plays and actually tries to engage with other dogs now and cats. So that's, of course, important to me, but try to think of some dogs in the sanctuary that I've seen. Actually, there are a couple that I've watched grow from being very shy, kind of overlooked in where they were, and they've come here. One in particular, his name is Quincy. He's going through training, he's gaining some weight, and starting to come out of his shell more and engage with people, and he wants to see other dogs now and have play dates. And so hopefully in the next few weeks, he'll actually be able to come out and do some meet and greets and be available for foster. So,
and I have to just to comment on Quincy, when I heard about Quincy, having some issues and not getting close, but I remember I saw him after he was here a little bit, and he was great. He came right up to me, gave me this love, and I'm like, this isn't the Quincy that had issues. And they're like, yep, that's him. So it's just amazing the job that the staff has done here with him to make him more comfortable with people.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think a couple times we've brought up the term foster fail in this episode. Do you think that's more likely to happen with senior dogs than maybe a dog of a different age?
I think it can, just because, especially if they are easily adapted to your environment, then they just kind of fit right in, and it becomes an easy transition at that point. So it's really just a little bit of expectations, and also like listening to whoever has the dog currently and like what they've learned about them in the time that they've had them. And anticipating that there may be some bumps along the way because, again, they're a little older. They have their own little behavior quirks, just like we do as we get older. So just knowing that that is a thing can make a huge difference.
And I do think you just have to listen to your heart. Sometimes it's just right. Maybe you don't want to get a dog right away, but then you just, your heart just, tends to go towards this one dog, and you just bond, and then you want to bring the dog home. So I say, just listen to your heart.
That's right. And you started off just going and walking dogs. You didn't have any expectation. You didn't see your eventual end. You just went in and said, hey, I'm going to make a difference. And I think if you care about animals and you want to show affection and you are looking for an outlet and have a little bit extra time on your hand, anybody can walk into a shelter. Well, not anybody, but somebody who's been prepared can walk into a shelter and make a huge difference just by going in and having playtime with any age animal, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you never know. You'll walk into a shelter thinking you're going in for one animal and come out with an entirely different one just based on what attracted you to them. But then again, it's having some realistic expectations and knowing that you might end up with a little poo on the floor at times.
That's all part of it too. That's all part of it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good.
The last question I have for you guys, one thing I hear about people who are hesitant on adopting a senior pet is that they're worried, about getting so attached and not having enough time together or something along those lines, What would your advice be to someone who might be feeling that way?
I would say, just, you might have expectations, but I say just take a chance. You know what I mean? Like, I think any love you can give a dog, especially a senior dog, they're going to love you for life. So I just, again, what I was saying before, just go with your heart and, as Anna said, have some realistic expectations, but just know that when you get a senior dog, the love is going to be there.
Yeah. And love is rare, right? I mean, we don't have enough of it. I think about the old Jackie Del Shannon song, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And if you can get a year or 2 years or 8 months or 5 years out of a senior dog, and you can give and receive love from any kind of a pet. And I mean, you're just so fortunate because people need to be filled with love. And there's lots of animals that do want that connection and that human connection. And we've trained them and domesticated them to expect that. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. And that's actually what we say here at Old Friends. Here, love never grows old. So
I love that. That's great. Where love never grows old. Well, I think that sums it all up. Wouldn't you say, Maddie?
Yes, I agree.
Oh gosh, you guys, that's so special. And what else do we need to know about your organization before we say goodbye today? What would you like to tell our audience?
Yeah, I would say definitely go to our website at ofsds.org or follow us on social. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. Kind of see what we're about. If you're in the Mount Juliet area here in Middle Tennessee, come by, take a tour, see some of the dogs. It'll be an experience you won't forget.
Oh, very good. Very good. Well, Anna, Tony, it has been such a gift to have you on. Again, PicoPets.com. Please visit our website, look at our reviews, look at the products, and just know that anything that you provide for your pet is going to improve their energy and give them lots of physical comfort, because our products were actually created and curated for humans. But, we're so similar at a genetic level, DNA level, and they work as beautifully for our pets. So thank you again, you two. It was just magical having you here with us.